Today on the LA Food Podcast, I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, still reeling from the news that Pump might be living its final days. Speaking of people who like Bravo shows, I'm joined by a food blogger whose content never fails to put a smile on my face. It's Jessie Evans of Jessie Eats on Instagram. Jessie has been gracing our timelines with photos and videos of delicious finds for the better part of a decade now, and she joins us today to discuss how she got into this crazy world, where she's been eating lately, and what the heck it means to be a pump and dump influencer and why she'll never be one. We finish things off with a quick round of the LA Food Podcast's favorite game, The Perfect Rec, and let me tell you, Jessie had some hot takes for us. But first, a quick disclaimer. This is a relatively new podcast and I'm still figuring things out, so for some reason my sound on today's episode is reminiscent of what you might have heard on a Vietnamese walkie-talkie circa 1970. Why? I have absolutely no idea. Luckily, Jessie's sound is great and her opinions are the ones that really matter, but thanks in advance for your patience, dear listener, while I continue to figure my shit out. With that said, I think this intro has been long enough and you're probably hungry for some tasty content, so without further ado, let's chow down. Okay, I am so excited because today we are joined by Jessie Evans, who you might know from social media, listener, as Jessie Eats. Jessie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here. I need to ask first, are you aware that when you Google your name, what comes up is like a Desperado-style outlaw?
I was not.
Just so you know, I'm flagging that for you. So if you ever get reached out to by people looking for their relatives and think you're them, that's what they're looking for.
Oh, thank you for the heads up.
Yeah, you're welcome. But look, I have so many topics I want to cover today. But first, I think it makes sense to learn a little bit about you. Who is Jessie, the Jessie behind Jessie Eats? Are you from LA?
Yeah, I'm actually an LA native, the 818, so I'm a true Valley girl. Yeah, which is very fun. And I was a child actor. I grew up acting. I went to NYU, and then I came back, and I fell in love with California, LA, finally, because I did not like growing up here, but now I love it so much.
What didn't you like about growing up here?
I think I went to a very specific private school with very specific types of people. And I think too, when you're younger, you live in your bubble, right? So I was only aware of the things in my surroundings in, Studio City area. When I came back, it was the freedom to try and travel and explore. And that's what made me start loving the city.
Yeah, what's so funny is that I had the opposite experience. I grew up in Europe, and I grew up watching a little show called The OC.
Okay.
So I very much romanticized growing up in Los Angeles and Southern California. So it sounds to me like the experience that I thought was my dream experience was the one you had and the one that you didn't necessarily want.
100%. Yes. Yeah. And then what happened? You came here and you saw Hollywood Boulevard and you're like, oh.
I was like, I've made it. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome. So you, and you're still an actor too. Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm still an actor, and I don't know how much you know about Hollywood, but you are not working more than you are working, which is very hard. And being a creative person, I wanted some kind of outlet because we get in these little slumps. You're like, I hit my quarter freak out. You're like, why am I doing these side hustle jobs? And I don't feel stimulated. And the only other thing in my life that I loved equally was food. So I started this food blog around 2014.
Wow.
I know.
So you're like an OG.
Yeah, this is when, we weren't even doing reels. TikTok was not even a thought.
Instagram was alive, but it wasn't what it was today.
Yeah, Instagram was alive, and Twitter was very big as far as food. That's where you were getting the news. That's where Roy Choi of Kogi Truck was telling where he was parking. And so it's interesting for me, I think, just to see how much it has evolved now. And it's very exciting. And I think there's room now for so many creators and so many people to play.
It's true. And wait, so let's back out a little bit. You said you've always loved food, but what was the genesis of that? Was there a moment when you were like, "Oh, wait, I think I like this more than other people like it"?
I do love food a lot. It's interesting because growing up, things I took for granted, I realized kind of were my like roots of everything. I ate dinner with my family every single night. And I didn't
Oh,
realize
that's
that was
cool.
rare. And then I ended up writing my college paper on that. That was my like, what is it called? Did you ever have to do
Yeah,
admission stuff?
your admissions essay, right? Like where you have to like get really personal and try to make the admissions person cry.
100%. Yes. So mine was about eating dinner with my family.
Yeah,
And then I auditioned
that's
for the
cool.
school I went to, and you do your monologues and do your songs, and then you have an interview after. And I didn't talk about, my past experience or whatever. I talked about paninis. So
Okay.
clearly there was this like through line of like, this is my passion always. And it wasn't until I was older when I got to experience things finally. I would save up my tips from catering and go try places I've always wanted to try. At nighttime, I was like looking at Yelp. Like I wasn't scrolling Instagram then. I was scrolling
Yeah.
Yelp, like
Right.
Yelp reviews.
Did you ever go on Chowhound? Do you remember
Yes,
Chowhound?
yes.
Yeah. It sounds like, and back then too, when in college, like I don't know about you, but when I was in college, it wasn't like a career path. Food wasn't necessarily a career path at all. Like you could go and drop out and go to culinary school or something like that, but food media was kind of just like a pipe dream, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, your path would be, to work chef life
Yeah,
and I loved it as an extracurricular, as like this thing on the side that I could do. And at the end of the day, too, it's so special because it's still telling stories, right?
yeah,
We're
yeah,
still entertaining. We're still building community and telling stories.
yeah.
So they kind of go hand in hand, which has been really fun and really nice.
So when you started your account, what format was it in?
I
Like what
started,
platform?
yeah, I started on Instagram. And I started with YouTube. I was making long form
Uh-huh.
YouTube content. Jessie Eats episodes. So
Like what were these episodes? I've been on your YouTube recently, but they're kind of like more short form
yeah,
recently.
well, let's be honest. The editing is so much easier to do a 30-second video than a full length feature, Um,
Yeah,
but I do want to go, want to go back to that because I think you're missing a lot of the storytelling and especially when you can get chefs involved to talk about their
yeah,
roots. It's such a fun way to tell and showcase places you love. But I started with YouTube videos like Grand Central Market and
yeah.
SGV Dumpling Crawl. Um, and then I got to do okay. So this is I'm dating myself still, but I went to Hawaii and I really wanted to go to. Do you know Sheldon Simeon from Top
Yeah, yeah.
Chef?
I the huge Top Chef fan over here, so yes, I know Sheldon.
Me too, me too. So I was going to Hawaii and I was like, well, you know what? I really want to film something at Tin Roof. So I
Yeah,
emailed the PR and this was not to say like, hey, give me free shit, like how a lot of these
yeah,
influencers say. It was literally just saying, is it okay if I have a camera and I take pictures and I take videos? Because this wasn't normal. But now if you go into any restaurant and people have a camera out and a flash and a whole
yeah.
setup, right?
It's weird if they don't.
But this was so oddball, somebody to come into a place and film, and they're like, of course, and he'll be there. So I got to spend a whole day with him, which was such a treat early on, and taught me a lot about like I had to all of a sudden step up my game. So I had a lav mic, I had the tripod, all the stuff. But that was really special. So those are the roots, and then the other roots were, of course, with Instagram.
Mhm.
Um, and sharing all of Los Angeles.
Yeah, totally. And so, what was your angle? You know what I mean? Like, they're like, was it? Did you even need an angle in like when you started this?
Yeah.
Because today, it feels like everybody's got to be like, oh, my angle is I drive X amount of miles to get to this place. Or me, I'm doing 100 pizzas this year, right?
Right.
Did you have an angle, or was it more just like I'm going to go out there and do the things and eat the things I like and
tell people what I think.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, that's so funny. You're so true. Everything now you have to like kind of give yourself a thesis and
Yeah.
uh
Raison d'etre. Yeah.
yeah, no, it was just, I was so excited to finally go to a lot of these places. I just wanted to share it. And I think
Yeah.
social media has a stigma that I think a lot of people are like, look how fabulous I am. I went to this restaurant. I went to this. And it was never that. It was honestly just to share with people places I really was excited about, whether it was something that is hard to get into, right? There was
Yeah.
a lot of restaurants at the time that like you could not get into, and I would finally get a reservation and it was like, here's your way in. Because I know for me, I loved nerding out and seeing people share restaurants that I couldn't go to.
Yeah, totally. So, so you started in 2014, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what were the hot restaurants then that people couldn't get into? Do you remember?
Maud, Curtis Stone's Maud. And that was back in the day. You had to call for a reservation. There wasn't a talk. There wasn't Resi and all the things that make things easier now. So I spent hours on the phone
That's
when they would book
dedication.
your list. Yes, hours. So that was so special. And then, then I think my I don't know if it's the acting background or whatever, you learn to make friends and support.
Yeah.
So I called the receptionist the day after and I was like, thank you so much. Wrote her a handwritten card and soon I was able to go more frequently.
That's so nuts. I mean, that is one of the most like exciting, and I think my favorite parts of this is making friends. Like everybody is so willing to help and to, like just give you access because they know that I think a lot of LA restaurateurs especially are storytellers too. Like they like to tell stories through their food and through like social media themselves. Like I gotta say, there's some like really creative social media teams behind certain restaurants out there these days. So
oh, absolutely. And it's interesting too because besides a thing like Top Chef or these things on TV, chefs aren't used to being in the limelight. They're not used to being front and center. So for them kind of to play with being in front and talking and playing with that, I think is exciting.
Yeah, totally. So I read in one of your bios that, or an interview maybe, that you said at some point you met Jonathan Gold.
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting interaction with him.
Oh my gosh, I adore him. I am very, very lucky that I feel like he either like not knighted me, but gave me this golden ticket of acceptance to be like, you got this, go into the food world, little Jessie. But it was all through Twitter back in the day. He used to have these things called, it was like #AskJGold. And so I was asking Jay Gold all the things and he would respond back. And then I was using his guide to his 101 was kind of how I started to learn LA. I was using that to check off things. And then I met him in person and I was like, hi, I'm Jessie, introducing myself. He's like, of course I know who you are. And it was, which was so, so, so special because here's this person that I look up to, but I think that's just very telling of his heart and in his writing too, right? He always involved everyone. It was like, we are going to this restaurant, or next time you're in LA, you're coming here with me and here's why. And even in real life, he was that way too. And then it became a really fun relationship. He was like daring me to try things at Gelada or like very opinionated on my horrible Thanksgiving recipes I was doing. But it was a very, very special relationship. And I'm so, so grateful to him for just like not taking a chance, but just like supporting from the start.
Yeah. It's funny too, because like it was in that era, I think there was a lot of suspicion around blogs and around bloggers when it comes to like food reviews. I remember David Chang talking about this in his book. There was this whole cottage industry of bloggers that were popping up on like the Grub Streets and the Chowhounds of the world, and restaurateurs, a lot of them didn't take bloggers seriously. They were kind of like the B-list of food writers, and I think a lot of food writers felt the same way. So for like the food writer to take such a open arms interest in you is really special, I think, especially in that time.
Oh, 100%. And I think he saw too, I mean, at the end of the day, your passion shines through, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I was a fangirl of restaurants and a fangirl of chefs. And when you find nerdy people that are like-minded and you can just talk nerdy food, how fun is that?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's like finding, that kid at orientation that like has the same like band t-shirt from the band that you like, and you're like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. But no, it's true. You find your tribe when you're doing this.
Yes, definitely.
So speaking of weird food or, nerdy food, what have you been enjoying eating recently?
Oh, good question. Okay, recently, I recently just went back to Factory Kitchen, downtown LA. I hadn't been in maybe 5 years. And it holds up, I will tell you. The pasta is delicious. That handkerchief pasta, was it Mandeli di Seta?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's one of the most underrated dishes in the city. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, it's nice too when you have memories of a dish, or you think of this restaurant because of this dish, and then you go back and it still holds up. It was so special. It was so fun too. I went for lunch, and there's such a different group of diners at lunch than when I had experienced at dinner. It's all the locals, people in the neighborhood on their business lunches or families, and it just felt so welcoming.
That's really cool. Fun. It's kind of like a little bit more of a hoity-toity experience at night, where you got, at least when I went, it must have been like 4 years ago or something.
It's a night out.
It's a night out. Yeah, you're going, you're having your like Negronis, and like, you got your nice outfits on. So it's even funny to think of it as like a neighborhood restaurant.
Yeah, I loved it. And there's even a girl behind me eating alone, living her best life with like a little tuna crudo moment, glass of wine, and I love that it has that sense of, this is your safe place. This is your special moment for yourself too. Yeah,
that's cool. And I saw on your Instagram that you went to Angler recently.
Angler 2.0. Yes.
Angler 2.0. I never went to Angler 1.0 either, but I'm very curious about it. How was it?
It is very different. And I had my memories of, I had just also recently been to San Francisco one. And here's the Saison hospitality, right? So it used to be this restaurant you were spending a lot of money. I'm talking a lot for just a single dish. And I feel bad because here it is in the mall. So I think that kind of gave it a weird reputation that people are like, I don't want to go to a mall restaurant. Meanwhile, it just happens to be at the Beverly Center.
Yeah.
But the old one was more like seafood focused, really fine dining. And I would say 2.0 is more a celebration of LA. So there's a lot of different flavors in there. There's Korean, there's Mexican. The dishes, the price point now is affordable, which is really exciting that you can go and it doesn't have to be your, anniversary or your job promotion celebration. You can go on a Tuesday. And it's playful and fun in there.
That's awesome. And the cocktails especially looked pretty funky.
Yeah, they have one. It's called Catch and Release. And it comes in, because, they have the all the live fish tanks everywhere because it's for the restaurant. And they have this fish tank that they have the cocktail in that comes out. So it's very playful. But if you go, hands down, you have to get the seaweed rice with salmon roe. It's delicious. You don't have to be bougie and get the extra caviar, but I am a sucker for caviar. So.
Speaking of, I saw you just did a recipe for caviar pasta. Is that right?
Okay, so here's what's fun about social media, right? We get to basically be our own editors of our own creativity, right? You're doing this amazing sandwich quest. And I love caviar so much. I was like, well, there's National Caviar Day. Obviously, I have to do a post. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, or I do caviar a week and do a week of content. So we're on year 3 this year. So yeah, caviar pasta.
It's like the Jessie's version of Shark Week is Caviar Week.
100%. Yes.
So caviar pasta, talk me through that, because I'm Italian. I grew up eating a lot of different pastas, and some pastas that some people would consider not typical fare for a child. Like, for example, one of the favorite like lunches that my mom used to send me to school with was spaghetti with buttarga.
Okay.
So yeah, you know this, but listeners might not. It's like it's fish roe basically. It's like I believe it's actually like the sperm sac of fish that is dried and then grated on pasta, and it is so good and it tastes like the ocean. But when you have to explain what you're eating to like your fellow sixth graders, it gets a little bit weird. But even by my standards, caviar pasta is out there. So talk me through how how you make it and what it's like.
Yeah. So when I went to Copenhagen, there's this restaurant called Baraba. And
Okay.
here's where the truth is I have a lot of FOMO as a food blogger because I want to eat everything. And I couldn't make it to this restaurant, but they had this caviar pasta. And so I replicated it at home. And what it is it's an elevated butter noodle dish. So you're doing your melted butter and you're putting in an anchovy, what's it called? Not syrup, sauce, anchovy sauce.
Okay.
Yeah. So already we're getting that sea flavors. That kind of reminds me of your pasta you were saying.
Yeah. And is the anchovy sauce like something you make out of anchovies, or is it something you purchase?
You can purchase. In the Valley, there's this store that is my favorite. You'll walk in and you'll be like, amazing food heaven called Epicurus Gourmet. They have everything. They have the cheeses. They have the flour to make your pastas. They have incredible sauces, and it's very dangerous, but that's where I got it. Easy. And then just a dollop of caviar. So it's funny how
Sounds
this
incredible.
elevated dish is basically just butter noodles, right?
Well, it's funny because I feel like most elevated places, it's all about really just making ingredients sing, right? And its simplicity does seem to be key to a lot of these excellent dishes. I mean, if you look at like a cacio e pepe, it's literally just noodles, cheese, and black pepper, and that's it. So it's actually refreshing to hear that you're not adding like cream or like anything like that to this dish.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So kind of along these lines of you telling us about these restaurants you've just been to, I've noticed that your content is always really positive, and I really, appreciate that. That's what I try to do as well. But in every food eater's life, there comes times when you have something you don't like, right? I'm curious how you approach that. Well, have you ever like set out to do a review and then just been like, oh, I don't know that I can rave about this one?
That's so interesting because I recently just had a negative experience. Well, I think we were talking about like, what is your thesis or what is your whatever gimmick we were talking about earlier on? I think for me, what sets me apart is my value. I will only post places on my feed that I like. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's because there's a lot of times people either come to LA or they drive to a place that I've posted about. I would hate to be the person that I always say, I don't want to be a pump and dump creator or blogger.
What's a pump and dump? I feel like I need to know this. I feel like I need to know this term. Oh,
maybe
God,
I made this up.
Am I a pump and dump creator? Now I'm questioning everything.
I promise you're not a pump and dump creator. But where people are just, I get invites to places or I get things that maybe I know it's not good. And it's just the people that are mass producing, they're just posting whatever to post versus I value this place. I really like this place. Right. So yes, my stuff will always be positive in the instances where it is a negative experience. I try to I just ignore it. And this is something for me to know. Or I try to make it a conversation because I never want to bash a restaurant. I never want to take down a chef or anything because business is so hard. But for example, there was a restaurant in San Francisco that is very popular all over social media, seafood restaurant. And I had the worst experience. Just health code, just way I was treated. and, watching raw hands that had just been handling trash and money grab the ceviche, the sashimi, like all just cooties. And, I was excited. I got all the content. I created stuff. I was excited to post about it. I'm not going to post about it. But what I did is I made it a conversation in my stories. How do you handle this thing? What has your experience been? Would you say something? And I think...
Oh, I saw this. You said something, I don't know if it was the same restaurant, but you said like you got the wrong cocktail at a place, and you said, oh no, it was a wine pour.
Oh, wine
they didn't
pour
pour
recently.
enough wine, and you asked, do you send it back? I love that approach. That's a really cool approach.
Well, because still we're getting value of a place. Even if the place is not some place I want to share, it's still a value. It's still a conversation. Recently there was I ordered a glass of wine. They told me it was a full glass. It's no more than 2 ounces. I know because of experience and also being on that end. And I can't be a person that's complaining or let me see the manager or, all those things that I know people would do. So I made it a conversation. It was very interesting the responses people gave me for that.
I'm curious. What do they say?
Okay. We have, talk to the manager. We have just never go back. We have have them show you with the carafes what the full pour is.
Wow.
And at end of day 2, even for this restaurant, I'm hoping to make it a teaching lesson for them too, because they have seen it. Where it's like, yes, if you're going to have this program, maybe here's ways that you do have consistent pours. At the end of the day, it was just sadness for me. I didn't have a good wine lunch, but,
hey, that's no joke. That can ruin your day.
But I can't ever bash a place. And 2, you know how long it takes to create content, right? So I'm not then going to add 4 hours of my time on a place. I'm just going to say goodbye and delete the files.
Yeah, no, it's tough because there's definitely a balance to strike between wanting to be positive and wanting to show people like where to go eat, but also you also want to be trusted by people, right? Like you want, like if you're someone who just waxes poetic all the time, I think people start to see through it a little bit. They start to be like, okay, there's no way this person absolutely loves everything they're eating. They must be a pump and dump creator. So I think it's really cool that you have a way to like show that you do have opinions that are not just exclusively positive, but that you're approaching them in a more sort of like constructive way.
Yeah. And that comes over time, you have to keep a relationship with your audience. And I think my audience at this point knows that anything I post, I stand behind, whether that's a sponsored collab, whether that's dinners that I've spent money on, I stand behind. And the other things, we're not going to waste our time I'm sharing.
Yeah, no, it's and people do lose respect. Like, for example, my wife will not let the fact that Nancy Silverton did a Subway commercial go. And it's like, she's Nancy Silverton. Like, let her get her bag, like she's done enough for the community. She can make some money doing a Subway commercial, but she's like, my wife is like, no, absolutely not. We're not going to, of all the things to support, Subway bread that was once upon a time alleged to be made with, yoga mat ingredients, we're not going to let that fly. So I do think at some point your word is all you have.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. So I want to talk about another sort of unique angle of your content, which is that you're not just reviewing restaurants, and you've already alluded to this a little bit with your caviar pasta, but you're making things too. You're like, I feel like people either do one or the other, but you very much do both.
Yes. And I think that was also thanks to the pandemic because, I think the pandemic did so much for everybody, creator-wise, restaurant-wise, whether unfortunately they, no longer in business or exciting creative pop-ups took place. So that really truly came from the pandemic. And I have a confession. You heard it here first. I do have a boyfriend that is a chef. So I do
Oh,
have a little ratatouille moment in the kitchen.
all right, everybody, you heard it here first. She's a fraud. No, I'm just kidding.
Breaking news, breaking news. Yeah, no, but
If that's not pump and dump, I don't know what is.
but I only say that as, some of the dishes might look a little prettier when they're plated, and I might have more guidance. But no, I do really love being in the kitchen, and that stems from my OG dinner parties or dinners with my family. There's something so special about that shared moment together, creating dishes and dinner parties, people bringing things that they're excited about.
So, what are your? Well, I'm curious about what were the go-to dishes that you had with your family growing up?
Ooh, we always had a salad
Okay.
within our dinner. My mom always did like a olive oil, red wine vinaigrette dressing, and it was kind of the everything but the kitchen sink salad. So whatever was in the fridge. And kind of actually Italian. She cooked Italian flavors and Italian, like chicken piccata and steaks and pastas, and always it was pretty healthy. It was I realized too, going to New York, we would have like artichoke, steamed artichoke. That was something a lot of people hadn't had when I went to school.
Yeah, California is so famous for its produce too that it's kind of just like a whatever thing here. You can avocados all everywhere all the time. Yeah.
How about you? What did you have growing
up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, like a lot of different things and a lot of it. I was a very large child, and I mean, my mom also cooked a lot of Italian things, but what's so funny is for me, the really exciting nights was when she cooked like trash food. Was when she went okay, we're not going to have freshly made pesto tonight, or we're not going to have like a freshly made lasagna or pasta made from scratch. It's burger night, or it's sloppy Joe night, or or what she thought it was like taco night, which was just like minced meat and refried beans and whatnot. Shredded cheese, exactly, like white people Mexican food, basically, and those were the really exciting nights for me as growing up. So yeah, I hate to admit it, but there's a time and place for that.
Yeah, but I love that. I think at the end of the day, look, like food connects everybody. We all have childhood memories. We all have places currently and that's what's so fun. It doesn't matter, where you come from or, status. Sometimes food brings everybody together in the best way.
Yeah, it does. It does. Well, I wanted to ask one more thing about your making of things, and that is I noticed that you had a below deck themed video, cocktail video. Are you a Bravo show person?
I am such a Bravo nerd. I heard your Top Chef episode recently. Did you like this new season?
I love this new season. How about you?
I love it. I feel like this one and the one that happened during the pandemic have
Portland?
Yes. They have this different heart. Right? Yes, it's a competition show, but I feel like this season, because everybody's coming from everywhere, there's so much heart and everybody's just connecting over their passion and food, and it's really fun.
Who do you like in terms of, thing?
I mean, I'm Team Buddha. He's just a beast. He's a beast.
He is. I'm just annoyed because my sometimes co-host picked him in the fantasy draft.
I heard.
So I don't have him, so I'm forced to hate Buddha. Although I obviously respect him and what he does, but I stand by what I say, and I do think he's too polished. I think he needs some of that fighter, you get punched in the face and you need to be able to adjust and react. So
yeah. But yes, Bravo, I love. Below Deck was my pandemic binge. I watched every single episode, obsessed with. I went to the Masters of Taste at the Rose Bowl yesterday, this food festival, and Marcos was there from Below Deck Sailing Yacht, the chef of Below Deck Sailing Yacht. So I totally. nerded.
Did
Oh
you go
yeah.
up and like, yeah, like they're like, can I get a selfie?
Oh, I 100% went over, took a picture with him, asked him about his scalp that got like taken off in the episode.
Oh my
And
God.
spoiler alert, he's coming back in a new season.
Oh wow, that is
Yes.
heard it here first, everyone.
Watch out.
Breaking news on the LA Food Podcast. Wait, so the reason I like Below Deck too is I think it's actually like a sneaky good food show because of the whole chef thing. Like the resourcefulness those chefs have to go through just to like be making these meals on boats and be pleasing these ridiculous customers. It's actually, I would watch a show that's just about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They don't stop. They're the hardest working on the boat for sure. But okay. So Below Deck, the reason I made a video is because I was noticing every single episode, without fail, somebody was drinking an espresso martini. Whether it was the deck crew, on their nights out, partying it up, or whether it was the yachties, like being fancy, drinking martini. So I had never had one before. Have you had espresso martinis?
Oh, yeah. I've had many. But the question is, have you had a carajillo?
What is that?
Okay, you gotta have this. So it is the like Mexican version of an espresso martini, where they use this special liquor called Liquor 43, and it is like an espresso martini on crack. It is so. First of all, it just tastes better in my opinion, but B, it also like hits in a way that an espresso martini doesn't for some reason. Highly recommend it. Next time you're at like a sort of like more like Mexican infused restaurant, ask them if they can do a carajillo for you.
Oh, that is on my list. I can't wait. Yeah.
You will not regret it. But espresso martinis.
Espresso martinis. So I was making all these cocktail videos and I was like, well, I have to do one inspired by quality television. And secretly I wanted to try the drink and it is great. It's great. And I understand. It's like, I feel like a bougier Red Bull vodka.
It's nature's Red Bull vodka, without all the fake shit. It's just coffee and alcohol, and that's how it's supposed to be had. Totally. Yes. That is and now we know you didn't plate that. You didn't plate that drink.
I did plate this drink.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yes.
So, final question for you before we go into a little bit of a game. I want to know where you get your food news. Like, how do you hear of new restaurants? Like, obviously, like, a lot of people are listening probably follow you and get their food news from you. But where do you, the person who, like, tells people about food, get their information?
Good question. I'm lucky at this point that I'm getting a lot of emails from PR. So I'm getting the, first look, inside scoop. As far as my nerding out, because I am such a nerd and I go down rabbit holes and stalk and watch things and, read it all. I love anything Steph Breho from LA Times. I think she is always on it, of breaking news, of great places. I trust her opinion. She's also has such a passion for Los Angeles and food and chefs and restaurants, but I really trust her opinion. And then Kathy Chaplin at Eater LA. I love her because she does a lot of more of like the, not just hole in the wall, but more obscure things that you aren't going to read in like the big flashy headlines. Yeah. And then I have two friends that are actually world eaters, Caitlin Orr and Anders Husa. And they always have breaking news because they've created this food community called the Hungries. And so I'm on their Discord kind of hearing about everything all over the world. Yeah. So that's been very fun.
That feels like you made it, if you get to be in that Discord.
Yes. Well, you do have to pay for it, but it's true. It's true. And that's very fun too. It's, food nerds all over the world connecting, which is really fun because when they come to LA, I'm giving my insights. When I'm going traveling wherever, I'm getting theirs. So it's been very fun to trade spots.
That's cool. I have to ask, what's the weirdest PR request you've gotten?
Oh, what do you mean? So many.
I just feel like, have you been like, hey, I'm, Stacy from KFC, come try the double down, that kind of thing.
Oh, well, now I think the weird thing is, come try, XYZ snack, right? Something that's like $4, right? Come have this in exchange for 4 reels, 10 stories. We get to use all your content. So I'm getting a lot of those, which makes me really sad because I think, one, people aren't valuing the time, the energy, the years of expertise, right? And two, it means yes, and two, it means people are doing that. So it just makes me sad. Yeah.
I can understand it from like if you're just starting out and you want to like show that you can work with partners and stuff. Like, I understand why an influencer would take those, but certainly it's not. I have noticed that too. The requests are not. They're not worth the squeeze. The juice is not worth the squeeze sometimes.
It's the one. It's the one that's like, and give us all the content for us to use on our ads and websites and all of that. That's what really irks me because that pay for a photographer or pay for my stuff.
No, it's okay. You know what really gets me going? What really gets under my bonnet is when a place will or somebody will take your video without asking you and repost it to their grid. Like, at first I was like, okay, that's it feels kind of icky, but also like, thank you for doing that. Like, more eyeballs are eyeballs, I guess. But at some points, it's like, how do you just ask me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes, but like, I don't want people thinking that you made this real. Like, you're not that talented. No,
yeah.
kidding.
Well, but also plus they're getting all the the views. They're getting the algorithm. They're getting all these things in their favor. It's true, and it's your video. Oh yeah, you gotta flag those.
Yeah, no, it's happened a few times. I mean, I always let it go, but but who knows? Maybe now I won't. Maybe now I'll be the person who asks them to, re-pour the wine because there's not enough ounces in
I
there.
need to see a manager.
Exactly. All right, Jessie, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to play a game. So,
ooh.
BRB. And we're back with Jessie Evans of Jessie Eats, and it's time for a game. Now, the game we have for you today is a game I like to call The Perfect Wreck. Here's how it goes, Jessie. Basically, I'm going to give you an outlandish scenario. Think like, Walter White and Jesse Pinkman are out in a meth cook and they need to go somewhere after they're done making meth to celebrate, and they're in the desert. Where do they go? That kind of thing. Just one of the more request. And you have to come up with the perfect wreck for that particular scenario. Are you prepared?
Yes, let's do this.
Okay. Since you love Bravo, I started with a Bravo one. Tom Sandoval of Vanderpump Rules has asked you to meet up over dinner for relationship advice. Where do you meet?
Oh, the scandal of it all.
Okay, good. You're familiar with the scandal.
Oh, I am on it. That is my entire feed right now. Unfortunately, they know me. All the bots, they know I love it. Okay.
So yeah, there's some considerations here, right? Yeah, talk me through your thinking.
I think we have to go somewhere very private, very dark. Well, that's my first instinct. Or are we going someplace because he has set up the paparazzi to show up? Ooh. And he is playing me, and he is all about the buzz and the attention. Okay, my dark low key spot is Greener. The reason I say this is because I think he still lives in the Valley. So 818 Pride. I personally like it, so it will give me some value out of this conversation. Yeah. And actually a very great bar program that I'm sure he would copy and steal drink recipes from.
Yeah, because he's the picture of integrity, so, why wouldn't he? That's a really good one. I like that. I feel like I also like that because Uber's kind of nondescript from the outside too, right? It's kind of just like you wouldn't think it's like a cool spot while you're just driving by. So I feel like that's a good one that can just kind of like disguise itself within sort of like the, paparazzi's purvey.
Absolutely. And as far as the popular one, I don't know. I don't go to those Sunset Strip, like Chateau Marmont, whatever.
Honestly, just like you could just go to McDonald's with him and you'd be happy as long as there's attention.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that. Great answer. Scenario number 2. You've just come back to LA after being away for 6 months. Maybe you were on some sort of like extended influencer food cruise in Alaska or something. You've been away for so long. Where do you go first?
My first instinct was Sonora Town. It is just perfect comfort food, happiness. I have been to Sonora Town in the hard times and the celebratory times. And then you get some chivvies to go and your fridge is stocked because you probably have nothing in the fridge, no groceries or anything. So that's my first instinct is Sonora Town.
I like that. It's a 2-for-1 deal because you're getting that food you craved and you get things that you can work with culinarily and cooking wise later on. It's
yes.
Well thought out answer. Okay, you're crushing it so far, but now the questions get tough, okay? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. You're crushing it so far. Time for the final question. Here we go.
Okay.
This one's a little bit dark. It's a little bit dark, okay? But actually I'm gonna make it less dark. Have you seen The Last of Us?
Yes.
Okay, so you have insider information that this shit is real. And it's coming down the pipeline for us. This like mushroom pandemic. Where do you go for dinner before the world shuts down again? Your last blowout.
Oof.
I don't think I'm gonna make it less dark. I feel like I just made it more dark. But whatever.
Okay. I think I'm going to Thai Taco Tuesday in a Jack for a lot of selfish reasons. 1, food's gonna be great. 2, I'm opening up all of those bottles in there and drinking all the wine. And 3, people I love are always there. So it's like the last goodbyes, give the hugs, and and open up all the Asteria caviar there and just do bumps and bumps and bumps.
That is a good answer. I've never been to Thai Taco Tuesday. Are they doing actual tacos?
Okay. Do you know now it is crazy and it's taken off.
I know, and Jack, and I know that Thai Taco Tuesday exists. I've just never been, and I'm not 100% sure what it entails. It
is so much fun, and it's probably my fault, too, that it has gotten as big, because I took some people from LA Times there when it first started, all the things. Anyway, I'm sorry that it's busy. It is so fun. It's usually, when it's better weather, it's a party in the alley, so we're getting a little like grungy. We got rap playing, and he's doing tacos with, he's doing seafood tacos. He has his fried chicken there. And it started as a thing from a pandemic of just like, let's bring fun back again. I want to do something. And now it's taken off, which is so fun that it's like this little offset of his normal menu.
I love that. I'm ashamed that I did not go there when I was having 100 different taquerias in a year. But hey, I'll have to go sometime. But that is incredible. And I don't think that he needs an apology for it becoming popular.
Yeah, no, I love Justin. I'm so excited for everything that's happening his way.
Well, Jessie, I've got good news. You won the game. Congratulations.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Claps. Jessie, thank you so much for joining. Where can people find you?
Oh, my Instagram is at Jessie, JESSIE_eats, or you can check out my new and improved website, jessieeats.com. But yeah, definitely come find me and say hello, because there's nothing I love more than connecting with everybody over food.
And if anybody wants to know how you go about not sending a glass of wine back when you should, go to Jessie. All right, Jessie, thank you so much.
Luca, thank you. This was so fun.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Again, thank you for putting up with my audio issues. If you like what you heard, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a rating, a review, subscribe if you should be so inclined. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at the LA Countdown. That's TheLACOUNTDOWN. And if you're looking for Jessie Eats, by the way, we're also putting links to all of her websites in the show notes. So thanks again for listening. Countdown out.